So are we supposed to start the podcast?
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Patriots, gay triots, they triots, black triots, brown triots.
Fuck off!
All right, Pumps, what have you had it with?
Okay, what I've had it with is people that you live with in the same house that take their dish or cup and they put it in the sink, but they never take it to the dishwasher.
Over the finish line.
There's no dishwasher fairy. There's no magical spell. That cup or plate will stay in the sink until someone puts it in there. And I've waited my kids out up to 3 days this summer. They don't notice. So I don't know if it's a me problem that I just don't like shit piling up in the sink. But why do people think that that's the magical formula? Now, if it's a guest, I get it. But if you live in the house, rinse it off, put it in the dishwasher. Don't just put it in the sink. I've had it.
Yeah, there's a problem at my house too with people taking things over the finish line. Roman, my youngest son, every morning eats a bowl of Cheerios. Not Honey Nut, just plain Cheerios.
Plain.
And I don't know what it is about the Cheerios. He pours it out into the sink, but there's always a lot of hanger-oners, some Cheerios that hang on to the side of the bowl.
Yeah.
And he's always, he just graduated from school, as all of you are abundantly aware. But he would put the bowl in the sink and then race out. And I'd get home from work because I usually left for work before he left for school. And these things, the more they're hanging on, the more they hang on. And you got to get a spoon and scrape them off. And this is just a universal problem with people that we live with that are just not as exceptional human beings as we are.
But here's the thing. Now, I mean, of course that's true. But in general, like when you rinse out something in the sink, I get all the scum from whatever that was in the bowl out of the sink. People at my house don't do that either. Then in terms of the sticky cereal, I have people in my house that leave it in the sink and don't rinse it out. They don't even try. They don't put water in the bottom. So by the time I see it at the end of the day, it's like crusty. I've just had it with people being lazy about the sink. Be efficient. Do what you're supposed to do. Put it in the dishwasher. Take it over the finish line.
Generalized sink laziness.
It's half-ass sink etiquette. Half-ass.
I think it's probably a national problem. I think that this is probably a very relatable thing. I don't know if when I was that age, I have no memory of being a hustler at the sink. So I don't know what I did. I don't know if I put it in the dishwasher. I just don't know because I was probably too busy worried about stupid shit.
Right. Like what was I going to wear and what was Susie going to wear? But I'll tell you what, I wouldn't have gotten away with that at my house. I don't have a specific memory of it, but I would have had a specific memory if I didn't put it in.
So are you confessing that perhaps you're part of the problem?
Oh, that I'm not monitoring too closely?
When you said I wouldn't have gotten away with that. And so then that infers that you're letting your kids get away with that.
Well, has there been any debate ever that I'm an enabler? I didn't even know we were discussing that. I thought that was like master of the obvious.
The thing about being your friend for 25 years is it's this constant story. My kids are lazy. My kids can't do anything for themselves. They drive me crazy. I can't stand them. We go on a trip. Your 22-year-old is starting to unpack a suitcase. No, Sam, don't unpack it. I'll unpack it for you. No, you don't have to pack. I'll pack for you. Then the next day, I can't stand my kids. They're lazy. They don't do anything for themselves. I just don't even know what to do about it. And then we have the sink story. And I love you.
It's true.
Very much. But it's a rinse, repeat situation.
It is.
Have you talked to your therapist about this or trainer?
Little pillow talk about the sink etiquette. No, I haven't. But I mean, it's just, I know I'm part of the problem. Mm. And I just think, why waste the money talking to my therapist about it? Because we're on a short leash. I've only got like 7 more weeks that this is going to affect me.
Yeah.
And then I'm back to living alone.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing with the therapist. You have to kind of pick, what do I really want to talk about today? All right, let me tell you what I've had it with. Since it is June, which is Pride Month, I am just going to throw out there that I have had it with homophobes.
Absolutely.
I have had it with people in the MAGA movement and people in the Christian faith that are so triggered by rainbow flags, triggered by gay people, triggered by somebody that is maybe gender fluid, triggered by drag queens, triggered by books, triggered by the whole thing. Like I just cannot imagine that seeing a rainbow flag for these, souped up alpha males triggers them so damn much and that they don't feel embarrassment about that.
One thing that I've learned about MAGA is they have no shame. There's absolutely zero ability to feel shame or embarrassment. They're incapable of it. But I'll tell you what, specifically about the homophobia, I have the obsession what other people are doing in their bedroom is so none of your fucking business. I can't get over it. And it's like, there are a lot of people that are straight that I don't think about what goes on in their bedroom because I don't want to know. But they seem to want to know what everybody's doing in their bedroom.
Yeah, it's a whole, the whole thing about gay marriage was used as this, voting thing. And they always start it with, they're just looking out for the kids, not realizing that gay people have been kids. Kids are gay. Like that exists. I mean, I don't know about you, but throughout the course of my own childhood and then watching raise my kids, you'd go to a class function or something and then you see somebody walk out and you're like, the kid's maybe 7. You immediately know they're gay. Immediately before the kid knows.
Absolutely.
And so it's like you have this opportunity then at that point to be a dick or to be cool. Those are your choices. And the homophobes and the MAGA and the Christians, they want to be dicks. They want to be dicks about people being gay. And I just cannot stand it. And living in this state where we have a governor and so many politicians and that awful superintendent of school.
Awful.
Who is so hyper fixated on sexuality is just, it's so gross. And I think that this is a moment in time right here where the Democrats need to go further to the left. They need to go all chips in on human rights for everybody, leaving no one behind, not one person behind. Christianity leaves people behind. Christianity is not for everyone. MAGA leaves people behind. MAGA is not for everyone. And the Democratic Party, if they would grow a pair and replace the leadership at the top and get some fighters in there that say to the American public, the reason you can't have nice things has nothing to do with these gay people. Nothing. It has nothing to do with drag queens. It doesn't have anything to do with immigrants. The reason you can't have nice things is because Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, Elon Musk, and all their billionaire friends are continually rigging the system so that it only benefits them while they lie to you and make you hate gay people and make you think that kids are going to school, getting their wieners whacked off, and then coming home and the parents are like, oh my God, I didn't know they did gender reassignment surgery in first grade, which never fucking happens ever. And there's just not this huge response right now from the Democrats in really embracing Pride Month and making a moral difference between our party and theirs. Because to me, it's a moral issue. Right. It is moral. It is a moral issue to leave no one behind when it comes to human rights.
Well, that's one thing we could roll into. I've had it with the Democratic leadership being pussies, no balls, not standing up for anything. It's the easiest time on planet Earth to be United States political leader and just absolutely annihilate the other party because what they're doing is corrupt. It's incompetent. It's appalling. I mean, every single day, all day long, they could be slinging arrows at these people that are well-deserved, well-founded, right on target, but they don't. They're going to write strongly worded letters and respond when it's appropriate.
We're going to respond when it's appropriate. It's just, I don't know. There's a whole thing about the politics in general where I think the gig is up, where everybody sees like the Hakeem Jeffries and the Chuck Schumers that stay on a script. And it feels so artificial and inauthentic. And it just doesn't pass the sniff test. There's no fight. There's no conviction.
No.
It's just this mundane fluffery that comes out of their mouths. And the fact that they have two members of their party, Bernie Sanders and AOC, that literally get tens of thousands of people to show up at rallies with an economic populist message, calling out the decades-long attack and lies that trickle-down economics work, that investing in billionaires somehow helps the working class.
Right.
This lie that has been propagated. The fact that they don't align with them tells you, as a average intelligence person, that these people are also beholden to corporations. And they're also beholden to special interests. So they toe the line. And I think that's why in 2016, when Trump came out and he was belittling Marco Rubio, who's belittling Ted Cruz, belittling Jeb Bush, he took that Republican establishment and he fucking ripped their asses. And it was refreshing. It was refreshing for people at the time. Now, since then, it's cult, it's Kool-Aid, it's dry hump flags. It's the reach around, circle jerks. It's the whole nine. But initially, somebody that called out the phoniness of a politician, that's what got him going. And I just wish the Democrats would just grow a pair, because it's like the reason your approval rating is 16 to 20% is you.
Right. Your leadership.
It's you. It doesn't have anything to do with who the president is. It even highlights that it's you, because making fun of this guy,
It's so easy.
all you have to do is play a clip and just react with your eyes rolling on the internet.
Right.
It's a layup. These men run around acting like they're so alpha and they're so masculine and they're so butch, yet they are terrified of drag queens.
Right.
Terrified.
Terrified of it.
Absolute stage 5 meltdown, Trigger City. Pathetic. All right, welcome to I've Had It. I am Jennifer.
I'm Angie, the aforementioned HBIC. Meemaw, meat curtains too. I forget about that.
Kylie,
sometimes.
Yes,
how are things going?
they're going pretty good. Happy Pride.
Happy Pride.
Happy Pride.
I've got a email that we received, and it is from someone named Gurn, and the email is fuckoff@whatawasteoftime.com. And they write, whose idea was it to guess at the existence of an audience that wants to hear middle-aged white bitches complain about their lame lives? Go back to the drawing board.
Lame lives. I can't disagree.
What was the email address again?
It was fuckoff@whatawasteoftime.com.
That's pretty clever. I got to give him clever. Fuck off at what a waste of time.
It's what I really appreciate about that is, you have to really kind of dig to find the email address to send feedback.
Absolutely.
That's devoted hate.
That's
the kind of hate that kind of turns me on. There's devotion to that. That's
one could also characterize it as
taking it over the finish line.
absolutely, and passion.
Yeah, it is. It is. Okay. Anything else, Kylie?
Okay, I've got a review. This one is 5 stars, titled Double Trumper from Destiny, and she writes, as a former double Trumper, Bible-thumping yakmouth who was saved by lesbianism, Bernie Sanders, and deconstruction, I found many laughs and some crystal clear clarity in this podcast.
Destiny, that's beautiful.
I love that. That really is cool.
That's super cool. It is. It is we need to reprogram these people. The Republicans go on and on about indoctrination in schools. And it's like, no, that's not what that is. It is critical thinking, learning objective truths, objective information. And they want it to be indoctrination. They want kids to be indoctrinated.
Well, everything that MAGA says is telling on themselves.
Projection.
Okay.
I have some news articles I would like to share with the class today. The first one is airlines will officially introduce standing only seats from 2026. Airlines are taking budget travel to the next level starting in 2026. Select carriers will roll out standing only seats for short haul flights. The seat design offers minimal cushioning and back support, resembling a padded stool with a harness-style belt. The target market includes travelers on 1 to 2 hour flights looking for cheaper fares. Critics have raised concerns about comfort, safety, and dignity in air travel. But as one executive put it, if you can stand at a concert for 2 hours, you can stand on a plane to your next destination. God, that executive, that is so corporate America.
Yeah.
So it looks like they have these little crotch pouches. Kylie, put that picture back up. See the little crotch pouch that you kind of put under your crotch as you stand there? But
okay.
I agree with raising the concerns about dignity.
I agree.
I don't know. I don't know that I like this. I feel like we should all be seated on an airplane. Maybe that's just because that's the way I've always done it. But I think this executive is kind of a prick. If you can stand at a concert for 2 hours, you can stand on a plane to your next destination so I can make more money, you fucking plebes. I mean, that's just
Well,
gross.
he's in a private jet, or he or she's in a private jet. You know what worries me is like if you hit turbulence, somebody standing up becomes a projectile. I mean,
Yeah,
the
I guess
crotch
they
thing.
have seatbelts.
Yeah, but like bonking heads and stuff. I don't know. I just think it sounds weird.
I the dignity thing, look at how close he is to that. Like it's just such a greed corporate grab. Like, I know what, because when we used to fly, you had more leg room and then it gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. You used to actually get food and that's gone. And so now it's like they're just removing all of this. And here's just something I want to say. The airlines get bailouts. The taxpayers have subsidized these airlines. And it seems like American corporations are so hyper fixated on profit. They don't ever take into mind the dignity of the consumer. And the consumer has been indoctrinated to worship the executive's needs more than the general public's, as evidenced by the 77 million people that voted for Donald Trump to stay out of prison and lead a comfortable lifestyle.
Oh, well, right. And make $1 billion a month, and no one seems to care about that. Yeah.
All right, next up, poll shows companies maintaining DEI initiatives have better reputations. And here are the companies: Patagonia, Microsoft, Costco, Apple, JP Morgan, Coca-Cola, Procter & Gamble, Kroger, Netflix, and Delta Airlines. So this was a change, change from 2024 to 2025. So these companies refuse to dismantle DEI, these companies that I read, and their reputation scores are higher. And this goes to a narrative that we talk about a lot on this podcast, and especially on our other podcast, iHip News, that a lot of the MAGA movement is just short-sighted impulse. They don't have impulse control. And it's, I want to feel good right now. I want to own the libs right now. I want to make a bunch of money right now. I don't care if that money is sustainable. I don't care if it damages people. I don't care if it kills people. Now. And I think that these companies that are playing the long game and realizing that Trump's term, he's not a spring chicken, he's almost 80. His term is only 4 years. And these companies that played that real short-term game people don't like them anymore. Like Target, it would be a prime example. And Target's another prime example of just seeing somebody who just has no conviction. They were kind of the woke company as opposed to Walmart. And now they don't even hardly have any Pride merchandise in their store. And I think the gays are kind of like, fuck you, we don't want you to have Pride anyway.
Right.
But I think that this is the right way to do it. I think that people prefer people with conviction.
Absolutely. And doing the right thing for everyone, not leaving anybody behind. But, I do love that Costco, somebody asked when they said, no, we refuse to get rid of our DEI program. They said, well, have you lost a lot of customers? They're like, no, we've actually gained. So I think once the reports come out about the financial impact, like we know Target has suffered, I expect like Costco to go up.
Here's something that like the American public, the Democrats really fail to message a lot. Like I think the Target CEO makes something like $50-70 million, something insane annually. A Target checker or stock person is making a minimum wage or maybe a tad higher. And that disparity is like you've got one guy that sits at a desk, Zooms, paper clips, staples. another person that's on their feet lifting, real physical labor. And the disparity in that income has grown so much under Republican lies of trickle-down economics. It has never trickled down.
No.
All it has done is trickled up. And the people that work in these jobs, a lot of them cannot afford to basically meet the bare minimum needs of life. So then they are on SNAP or Medicaid or some sort of government subsidy to help assist. Well, who are we subsidizing there? The Republicans have you believe that person's lazy. They need to quit playing video games. They need to get the best way to have health care is to have a job. They say all these horribly demeaning things about people that earn the lowest of wages, the lowest. And the criticism of them, criticism of poor people when we're actually subsidizing the company for not paying them enough. The subsidies go to Walmart, they go to Target, not to that person. Because if these corporations were forced to pay people a livable wage, provide health insurance, provide safety nets, medical leave, this wouldn't be such a problem. And all of this led to Trump. It's a big thing. A lot of this type of thing, the demonizing of the poor, not raising their wages, not making sure they have health care. He went and filled that vacuum.
Right. He did with hate because he started saying it was the immigrants' fault that people couldn't have
no
nice things.
solutions.
No solutions.
But he was able to piggyback on, starting with Ronald Reagan, the real demonization of the poor.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, there's a real push to demonize the poor, starting with Reagan, and worship wealthy people. And that's something that's really gross about American culture is the worship of wealthy people.
Absolutely. And assuming wealthy people are smart and good people.
Yeah. All right, listener, summer's here and, we're all a lot more active. And I have to tell you, you cannot neglect the summer sock. The summer sock is key to mitigating blisters, etc. And that's why I love Bombas. I'm so obsessed with their socks, you guys. They're like little pillows surrounding your piggies.
And they don't stop at socks either. They've got fresh white tees you barely have to break in, waterproof slides for the beach, backyard, and everywhere in between, and buttery soft sweat-kicking underwear that feels barely there.
And get this, they even make socks that can make international flights bearable. They make compression socks to help curb aches and keep those legs energized for all the sightseeing ahead. Listener, head over to bombas.com/hadit and use code HADIT for 20% off your first purchase. That's bombas.com/hadit. Code HADIT at checkout. Bombas.com/hadit and use code HADIT.
As my children are growing older, they're becoming more susceptible to fragrance in the products they use on their skin. And that is why I have been now diving in to what are the chemicals in the products that I use. And I am finding that so many chemicals are in there that are unnecessary. I was shocked that my laundry detergent is one of the worst culprits. So I switched to Earth Breeze. Their detergent sheets are free from harsh chemicals like dyes, parabens, phosphates, and preservatives. And they're way easier to use. No heavy plastic jugs, no mess, just a pre-measured sheet that dissolves in seconds. I feel so much better knowing I'm not exposing myself and my kids to those unnecessary toxins. And my laundry still comes out fresh and clean. If you want a gentler clean without harsh chemicals, switch to Earth Breeze. They're also backed by a 100% money-back guarantee. So basically, you are trying it risk-free. Right now, you can get 40% off with your subscription at earthbreeze.com/hadit. That's earthbreeze.com/hadit.
This episode of I've Had It is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. The process only takes minutes and it could mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states. Okay, today we have a guest that we are incredibly excited about. She is an independent journalist and trial lawyer. Watch out, America's Greatest Legal Mind, interviewing another great legal mind, independent journalist, host of the Katie Phang News channel on YouTube. Katie Phang, welcome to I've Had It. How are you today?
Oh, I am fangirling right now. It is good to be here.
I'm so glad you're here.
So let's let our listener in on, you worked at MSNBC and now you have joined our side of the media, which is the independent media where all the pretty smart girls are.
That's right.
Heck yeah.
And I was just on social media this morning and I saw your former colleague, Joy Reid, with Katie Couric. And she was talking about like corporate media trying to clamp her down on her social media and kind of like being invasive to her personal identity. Is that kind of just a whole part of the corporate media gig? Did you experience that?
Yeah, so I'll be really blunt. The reality is obviously, and you guys know this, in any corporate world, they own you, right? I mean, they kind of have to control what the brand and your identity is going to be. So understandably, they're going to monitor and make sure that whatever's being kind of pushed out or represented is consistent with their own brand and identity. But I will say that Joy's right. There was a hypersensitivity about how far were you veering off that kind of straight, narrow down the middle kind of energy when it came to criticism of Trump and the administration? I mean, I was never I was never told you can't say that, but there was definitely kind of this, do you really have to call him convicted felon Donald Trump every single fucking time you say his name? And I was like, yeah. I'm like, A, it's not defamatory because it's true. And B, yeah, because he's sitting in the Oval Office. And so, you know, I kind of had to push back when it came to some of those things, but that's why being here in independent media is so freeing. One, I can curse, and two, I don't have to feel like I'm kind of like, mother may I kind of stuff.
Well, that's true. Okay, so my question in this regard is, Trump came out before he even was elected saying fake news. Anything about him that was negative was fake news. Do you think that had a chilling effect on mainstream media, that they wanted to make sure that they went away from the absolute basic facts and started dumbing them down because they didn't want to be accused of fake news? Or do you think it's the corporate advertiser buyers or all of the above? I mean, I'm sure it's more than that, but those are the two I land on primarily.
So somebody said something really great, and obviously it was Rachel Maddow because she's so damn smart. But she said, look, there are things that are being said by Trump and his cronies and his sycophants that are kind of priming America for what's to come. So, for example, when you say the judges are all leftist radical judges, then when they don't obey an order, it kind of makes sense to his followers, right? And they're like, oh, well, because they were crazy radical leftist judges and they had bad orders, you don't have to abide by them, even though we all know that that's not the law or real. When it comes to the media, I don't know if it was necessarily an effort to dumb it down for consumption. I do think what was happening was there is a very traditional tenet of integrity when it comes to journalism, where it's you have to be delivering the facts. And we often say it's better to be right than first. And I think what has happened, though, is the priming, this kind of getting the people ready for the lies. And so Trump, knowing that everything that was going to be coming out was a lie, if he said it's fake news, unless you got it from a source or a location or like a publication that had been vetted by him or approved by him, then he was preparing the people to not listen to what was being said in mainstream media. And so I find that the very freeing thing about not being in mainstream anymore is, one, you can have the fulsome conversations with people where you can emphasize that this is truth and reality, and you can keep on harping on that. Isn't that the game here for them? They keep on harping on the lie, and the repetition of it ends up making it more kind of solidly and more concretely in people's brains on the right. And so I feel like if we just keep on saying, this is the truth, this is the truth, this is the truth, that it's going to take a foothold hopefully.
I hope so. And that's all an authoritarian play to discredit the media, discredit the courts, discredit elections. All of that is a playbook that has been recorded with every authoritarian regime since the beginning of time, because they want to keep facts suppressed. But all of this is very intellectual and very fun, but we have to get petty, Katie Phang.
Oh,
so we have to
please.
ask you, what have you had it with?
Let me put I'm putting my petty glasses on because I'm ready to go.
Okay, what have you had it with?
Oh, you want to know what I've had it with?
Yes.
I've had it. I'm so over people judging me for being judgy. Aren't you judging me for being judgy? Like, that type of shit drives me nuts. It's like, oh, we should not be judging these other people. I'm like, honey, I was born to judge. And it drives me nuts because I do think it ignores just a very kind of just very instinctive part of human nature, right? Yes. Should we be judging? The answer is yes. But should we do it from a place of kindness? If I'm judging you and I'm giving you my constructive criticism, I am coming from a place of kindness because I just want it to be better for you. But yeah, so I'm over people judging me for being judgy because guess what? You're doing it too. So just jump in. The water's warm. We will welcome you here. It's not a problem.
Well, I find that right now, and I blame it on millennials and Gen Z, but it's everywhere. You cannot have a criticism of anything. When I was growing up and first practicing law, I was criticized by my overseeing lawyer all the time. If I screwed up, the judge would tell me, no, redo that. So the fact that people are so susceptible to criticism that you can't criticize me. I mean, I'm just like, then you're never going to get better about anything. I mean, you're going to end up being Donald Trump, who fucking sucks because no one around him will tell him the truth to make him get better.
There is a whole kind of coddling kind of thing that's been happening for a while. And look, I don't even know what letter generation I am. I just know my ass is about to turn 50, and that's all I know. But I do think, though, that and this, of course, is like a whole other conversation we could have about this cancel culture stuff, et cetera. I just think that you shouldn't be so sensitive to the idea that I am making an estimation or evaluation of something, right? I mean, that's all it is. But I do find it's just this holier than thou energy that comes out of people, kind of like, for example, and this is another thing that drives me nuts, is like the performative cross wearing that we see from people, especially on the right. Like shit like that. It's like, I'm not dumping on your religion because I'm a Christian, baptized, all that other good stuff. But it's like, come on, I know you're not really doing it because you're a true Christian. You're doing it because you want to impart some type of idea, a narrative about who you are. It's the same thing. I am a judgy person, tough shit. But you shouldn't sit there and pretend like you're better than me because you don't judge, because it's exactly what you're doing when you sit there and you criticize me about it. So I just think people just need to grow a pair and just, be an adult.
And as it pertains to the cross wearing, I completely agree with you on this. And I am critical of both the faith and the cross wearers because I'm an unapologetic atheist that lives in a MAGA religious hellscape, and I see the dangers of Christianity when it's consolidated with white people in particular. The black church seems to be a lot more less hateful, I would say, than the white Christians that I live around. But I think that, how the right always accuses us of virtue signaling? I think that within the MAGA movement, they're Christian signaling. Because what will hit hard in middle America is when they see Caroline Leavitt saying something, or Pam Bondi, but they see that she has a cross on, they immediately, these white Christian people will immediately go, well, she's a good Christian girl, she wouldn't lie.
Right.
Because there's no ability amongst evangelical Christians, which is the majority of them, I think over 90% are Trumpers. There's no ability for them to critically think. So if they just see that cross, they just instantly know it's a Christian signal. Well, she wouldn't lie. She's a good girl for Jesus. And so I see at the epicenter of a lot of the MAGA movement are the dangers of right-wing Christianity. And right-wing Christianity in our state is a cult, and it harms people. It demonizes people. They want to indoctrinate children for it. They have nothing. The central character of the Bible, Jesus Christ, they are the exact opposite of everything that he speaks about. And they do all of this with impunity and don't pay taxes. And I rail on this all the time because I live around it. And these people
Those churches.
are breathtaking hypocrites. Donald Trump is just like an evangelical megachurch preacher. He has the hair, the blue silk suits, the gaudy office, the whole nine, and he's a grifter. And that's exactly what their preachers are. And so, yeah, the whole thing is weird. It's weird to see politicians, even Hakeem Jeffries, he tweeted about, I don't know, it's probably within the last year, something like, no matter what, Jesus Christ is always king. And I see that, and I'm just like, not everybody in America thinks that, Hakeem. Like, I don't know. There's this thing in America where politicians are religious and they all encourage each other to do it. Where in Europe, if a politician were to speak openly about their faith, it would be so off-putting because it's a very private thing. And I wish that we would move to that, because I think anytime you have religion combined with government equals bad, whether it's Sharia law, Christian nationalism, it's not good.
Well, there's a reason why they're supposed to be separate.
Right.
The separation of church and state. There's like this whole concept, right, of how it's supposed to be. I mean, you don't have to be a historian to know that for centuries, religion has been used to perpetrate some of the most horrific things in history, right? Under the guise of especially extreme religion, things have been done to people that have been horrific. And, you don't even have to look that far, right? Putting aside the Pam Bondis and the, Caroline Levitts and the Christy Noems of the world. I mean, just look what just happened in Texas. They just voted to put the freaking 10 Commandments on the wall at every public school classroom, right?
Yeah.
And yet most of those GOP, Republican state people in Texas, they're not abiding by the 10 Commandments and they're not being Christian. And so this idea that, white Christian nationalism has now become mainstream for the Republicans is terrifying.
Yeah,
and under the guise of saying, well, to your point, well, they're not going to lie because they're good Christians, or let's pray for Donald Trump because he's going to lead us out of the fucking wilderness. And I'm like, bruh, you are not paying attention if that's the case. But it's the same thing now, right? It's like it has to be a certain way. It's like we have to do everything to the exclusion of the minorities. And so you can't even have another religion, right? It's got to be the 10 Commandments in English in a certain kind of font on a wall in Texas. That is the stuff that's so dangerous because kids are so young and impressionable and easily influenced, and they're going to be in these school classrooms thinking that this is the only thing that is an acceptable religion because it's getting the imprimatur of approval by the state government. That's the reason why you're supposed to keep it separate and apart. But then think about even like in France, where like the emperors of France, the kings of France, like they all were, buddy with who could be closest to Rome and who could be as close. He's the closest to God on planet Earth, other than God. And so, they're using all of this under their guise to be able to justify their bad acts. But this idea too of not taxing these crazy churches, they need to be taxed. And then
some.
Yeah.
In Oklahoma,
right?
Katie,
those places.
You would not believe how big these churches are. They're gigantic. And then they build these gigantic crosses next to them that you can see from the highway. And then the mega preachers have these like private jets, and two things that stick out if you go to their websites. Number one, they're trying to recruit. I think anytime you see a church that takes Venmo, it's a giant red flag. And then they're also like trying to build more and more churches. So there's a popular church in Oklahoma called Life Church. It's a big mega church. Preacher, has a stylist. He's got a private plane. The whole thing. It was coffee shops and a mini mall in the church, dunk tanks, all the crazy shit, right? Well, I went on, you can go to their website and you can look. They have something like $750 million cash, liquid, just sitting there. And this is a super popular church in Oklahoma. And think about this. This is what kills me about this state. We fell prey to domestic terrorism. Timothy McVeigh bombed the federal building, far right, anti-government terrorism. And then fast forward now, and they vote for the same kind of person. That there's no lesson learned there. So I think as I live here, that dissonance that people can't connect that. And it is the over religiosity that is in middle America. It is a poison, and it has primed people for Trumpism. You talk about Trump priming people for all the illegal shit that he's going to do. this form of Christianity set the psychological soil for them to fall prey to Trumpism. Don't critically think. It's okay for the leader to grift off of you. It's okay to have the preacher gets all of these things. The preacher's closer to God.
Exactly.
All this shit. Oh, it just drives me fucking crazy. I can't take it.
Well, it's used to, instead of having to use your critical thinking skills, which I rail about all the time, the absence of critical thinking skills in America, instead of having to use your critical thinking skills, you can now just plug and play religion, because then you can pat yourself on the back. Because when you do something and you know it's wrong, but you can say, look, it's, what is it? Under his eye. Right? So you're doing it and it's okay because it's under his eye and everything's going to be fine. But the problem is it's being weaponized, which we all know is not what the Bible was teaching. And that is not what I learned in Sunday school. And that's certainly not what I learned.
But I want to say something, because it's intellectually dishonest when we don't acknowledge that in the Bible, God himself committed genocide on the entire earth with the flood. So modern day Christians say, oh no, I mean, that's not what it was all about. But I mean, you read the Old Testament God, I mean, that's a real crazy fucker. I mean, he did a lot of weird shit, killing people, sacrificing his son. It's all bananas. So I understand that you're probably Christian light, and a lot of our followers are probably what I call Christian light and not hardcore Christians. But that cruelty that they have, it's in the same book. The call is coming from inside the house. This is a time for the moderate Christian light people to help reconcile this, because all of that cruelty, eye for an eye, the child marriage, all of that stuff, patriarchal culture, it all comes from the Bible. It's not like that. It's not in there, because as I read it, as somebody who was never indoctrinated in it, I'm like, what? He commits genocide because he was mad at everybody? That's fucked up. I mean, that's the way I see it.
But guess what? Your kids can read that, but they can't read a Toni Morrison book.
Right. Right.
They can read all of that fuckery that you said. Yeah. That should be beyond, it's like NC-17 kind of level stuff, right? In some ways.
About the sisters that got their dad drunk and then raped him, that's pretty screwed up.
But you can't read about why the cage bird sings, God forbid, right? Yeah. You can't read about that, or, you can't read about anyway, yeah, I get it, trust me.
Listener, if you're running a business, you know that every time you miss a call, you're leaving money on the table. When every customer conversation matters, you need a phone system that keeps up and helps you stay connected 24/7. That's why you've got to get Open Phone.
I love Open Phone because a team member can share one number and collaborate on customer calls and text like a shared inbox. That way, any team member can pick up right where the last person left off, keeping response times faster than ever.
Listener, Open Phone is the #1 business phone system that streamlines and scales your customer communication. See why over 60,000 businesses trust Open Phone. Open Phone is offering our listeners 20% off of your first 6 months at openphone.com/hadit. That's openphone.com/hadit. And if you have existing numbers with another service, Open Phone will port them over at no extra charge. Open Phone, no missed calls, no missed customers. Some might say Homes.com is the best home shopping site. Could it be because it has a sleek, spam-free site? Or the most in-depth school info? Homes.com knows every parent wants the best for their kids, so they're the only ones with school and district details and reviews from multiple sources, including niche. It may be Homes.com's super comprehensive and transparent agent directory, or maybe it's that Homes.com is the only site that always directly connects you with the listing agent who knows the home best. Perhaps it's because Homes.com has the most in-depth neighborhood content of any home shopping site that's extensively researched to highlight the personality of each neighborhood. Homes.com has 22 data visualization layers, 7 environmental layers, and allows you to search by commute and architectural factors. It's the home search you've been searching for. Go to Homes.com today for home shopping the way it should be. Homes.com, we've done your homework. Okay, Katie, now we're going to play a game with you. It's our world famous game, once played by former President Barack Obama, called Had It or Hit It, okay? Oh my God. Welcome to Had It or Hit It. I would hit it.
Had it.
Had it. I hit it every day, sometimes twice a day. Had it or hit it, people who don't say thank you.
Oh, I'm so fucking over that.
Yeah.
I've had it. People need to say thank you. The simplest thing, just thank you. It's not even that hard. Just say thank you. Right. I opened the door for you. Thank you. I let you into traffic. Maybe you're going to think thank you, but maybe you can wave. I just
that wave is
when you let somebody in and there's no acknowledgement, that really fucking pisses
makes me want to
off.
ram into the back of their car. I'm like, motherfucker, I just let you in. I just wanted a little high hand. That's it.
Or
I didn't want a letter. Right. Just to agree.
No.
Okay, had it or hit it, old politicians.
Oh, I'm over. Yeah. I'm adding another option. Over it. I'm over it. I've had it, man. I mean, I'm not an ageist, but we need to move. We need to move on. And I'm not saying that you blindly need to just bring in new blood, quote unquote, but I do think there's something to be said about just not making that political position the one that you die or retire in. I'd like, just get out.
You know what pissed me off, Katie? This really, really pissed me off. So Congressman Jerry Conley recently died of cancer. And that's horribly sad. And my heart goes out to he and his family. However, why are you working? Why do you have a job when you have a terminal illness? Why are you throwing your name into the hat to be on the oversight of monitoring this fascist presidency? And why did the Democrats go along with it? Because they're too scared of AOC. And that shit pisses me off. And they say, well, there's a seniority thing. It's a seniority thing. I'm like, maybe y'all still want to play the seniority thing. But the last time I checked, when we didn't play the seniority thing, we ran a one-term senator named Barack Obama, and he won 2 back-to-back terms. So fuck that. Your own logic has been disproven, because if we were to run Biden again, he would have lost worse than Kamala, in my opinion. I think she helped make up some ground in the faceplant that was Biden's running. And I don't want to get into all of that, but I mean, I think he was too old to run. We could see it. I don't think he was dementia like the right saying, or whatever Jake Tapper's saying. I think he was just old and it slowed down. But that whole thing with that Jerry Conley, it really made me angry, because the BBB bill, I can't even say it.
Oh,
the BBB bill.
I can't even stand it.
One vote, and he died like the night before. And I just think, why are we putting politicians in this position? Why isn't Hakeem Jeffrey saying, listen, buddy, you got a terminal illness. This guy's a fascist. He's a dictator and he's a dipshit. You're going to have to sit this one out, and we're going to have to put somebody with some balls in here to run oversight on this. It's not that hard.
Well, what's wild is, to your point, Connolly got over AOC, and you know what's happening right now. Your vice ranker is Jasmine Crockett. Full disclosure, very close friend of mine.
Love her.
I have a bias. But the fundamental reality is, as vice ranker, she should now take over that position. The fact that there is this idea that, somebody else should be considered for this position drives me nuts. As a young lawyer, not even as a young lawyer, as a lawyer, when I learned, especially for women and minority women, how hard it was to get a seat at the table, because you had to have a book of business. But then I saw who had that book of business, and it was all these old white guys. I was like, I'm not going to wait for them to die or retire to be able to get my seat at the table. So I left and I started my own law firm, and I legit had no clients, and I was terrified. But the point is that it shouldn't take that type of extreme kind of move to be able to have a seat at the table. And I think that if the Democrats are true to who they consider themselves to be, the Big Tent, right? There's always a space for you in the Democratic Party. Then I think that we need to truly be representing our body of representation has to reflect that. And that means old and young.
I agree.
Right, all different.
And I think that, Jasmine is a star in the Democratic Party. She's an excellent communicator. She is a fierce fighter. She has conviction. She is unrelenting about her convictions. And people want somebody that'll fight for them. That's how Trump won. He conned the middle class into believing, I will fight for you. And then you've got what's going on with the Democratic Party right now. And I am just like, there is a reason you have a 16% approval rating. And it is because of you, where you have these stars that you could lift up, the Crockett's, the AOCs of the world that get tens of thousands of people that go to watch them speak. But we're still playing by the old rule book. Our polling says we can't talk about trans issues and blah, blah, blah. And we're going to do seniority. And it's like, we're getting our ass beat by a man that can't blend his makeup, and y'all are playing by this fucking rule book. It makes me crazy.
Well, we have nothing to lose, literally, right?
Totally.
So why not? So why not throw out the old playbook? And actually, why not take a page out of the GOP playbook?
Right. They definitely have the secret sauce.
Okay, let's keep going on here. Had it or hit it, the manosphere.
I mean, is it real? I guess it's real. I mean, I feel like it's one of those fictionalized things that has all this power now because people talk about it like it's some thing.
I think it's real. I do.
You think so?
I know.
I just feel like it's just like a whole bunch of people with small dicks that are just like hanging around.
100%.
Right?
Katie, that is what I've been saying. It's little dick energy so hard. Like if you're
Not
having
hard.
to tell everyone,
Not hard, flaccid.
soft,
Flaccid, not hard.
soft, little dick energy, so soft. It is. It's like if you have to tell me how alpha you are and how much money you have and how big and strong you are, then I know, or you drive a Tesla, what is it, the Cybertruck? I know your dick's small. Nothing else has to be told to me. I get it.
Yeah. I call them small dick compensators, SDCs. So I'm not into this idea. I feel like we're giving too much credit to the manosphere. I feel like it's getting this larger than life kind of energy for absolutely no reason. But at the same time, I'm a practical person and I can't ignore the fact that there's some reach to the manosphere. But there's this whole philosophy that I learned, which is which somebody told me, and I was thinking about. I think it's kind of true. If you're a young man and you're living in your parents' basement because you don't have an education, you don't have a job, you're going to be an incel, right? Because you're not going to get a date because nobody's going to want to go out with you. So you're going to hate women or hate whomever, and you're going to be mad at minorities and migrants because you're going to think they're all taking your job, and you're going to be mad at people like you and me and everyone because we represent uppity women that talk back and don't know our place. I mean, it's amazing to me though that aggrieved kind of population, they're the ones that the manosphere is catering to, which is why if we sit there and we keep on saying that there's some big bad kind of power to that manosphere, it's like we're kind of feeding into that in my
That
mind.
is such a great point.
It's a great point.
That is such a really, really, really good take on that whole thing. Because we talk about on our other podcast a lot that this thing for the Democrats to attack, Jasmine does it really well. It's such a layup. You got a man that, I don't know if you heard him try to say cryptologist the other day. He's like, cryptologist. And he doesn't blend his makeup. He lies about his height. He lies about his weight. Apparently shits his pants. All of these things. And then you have J.D. Vance and, the smoky eye.
But he knows how to put the eyeliner on.
Yeah, he does.
And it's so easy to just lay up. I mean, these men talk about how masculine they are. And like Jesse Waters every night spends a lot of time talking about what real men do and what real men don't. It's such a layup to eviscerate these people.
Tucker Carlson tanning his balls. Yeah.
Totally. And it's such
You don't remember that one?
Yes.
Tan your balls.
Totally. It's such a layup to eviscerate them. And I just wish that Democrats would get a little dirty with it.
Yeah.
Because like you said, we have nothing to lose. Nothing. Just say, yeah, we're woke as fuck, but we're fucking assholes about it. So fuck you. And that be the
we're
stance.
Judgy.
We're judgy.
We're taking a
We're
flag.
judgy. We are liberal woke dicks. Get over it and just charge ahead. Jasmine has that energy.
Yeah.
And I just, it's so frustrating, as we all know, being Americans right now. It's so exhausting being an American, but we all have it, even though we're women, pretty well, because when you look at what's happening to like people that I personally know in Oklahoma, maybe their parents have a green card or maybe a work visa, and they're just terrified of going to work, terrified of getting deported. And there is what's happening with the LGBTQ plus community. Here in Pride Month, you have this rise in homophobia that is just horrible. And so I just want to, I love talking to women like you. And it does seem that the people who have the biggest balls right now are all the conversations we've had. And all the people I hear speaking the loudest seem to have vaginas.
Yeah.
And so that seems to be a recurring theme. But it seems like it would just be such a layup to take these guys out on social media.
Well, the biggest con that Donald Trump has ever perpetrated on America is the following. He would never voluntarily break bread with any of those guys. That's
right.
the funny thing.
Yeah.
You don't see him inviting them to Mar-a-Lago. You don't see him inviting them to the White House, right? Like, he has such disdain because he thinks he's hot shit.
Right.
And he has such disdain for that kind of middle America, quote unquote, flyover country kind of vote, right? And so that is the biggest con. He's led them down the Lulu path to think that he gives a shit about them, when the reality is he's just the grifting king. Everything has to benefit him, a la $400 million Qatari planes, right? Like, that has to benefit him and Jared Kushner and his daughter and the dumb Tweedledee Tweedledum brothers, right? So that has to be for him. But he would never voluntarily break bread with any of these people that have voted him into office. But the reason why it's women, and especially women of color, is because this is all we've ever fucking known.
Yes.
Okay.
I realize that.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I grew up in a middle-class family with privilege. I get it. But it doesn't mean that shit's been handed to me on a platter. So the fight that we've had, especially as women, it's like we've had to justify our existence. It's not existential, but we've had to justify why we want something different than the trad wife, right? The traditional wife, the trad wife kind of thing. So when we deviate off course, we're looked at like cross-eyed, like we're doing something wrong. But that's not the case. This applies to anybody, male, female, otherwise. Just appreciate people for who they are. Just accept them for who they are. I don't have to be in your business. I don't care what you are doing in the privacy of your home, as long as you're not hurting my family, as long as you're not hurting other people. And I don't understand why that's so hard. Yet the GOP is so up in your shit. And they want to be in your bedroom, and they want to be in your vagina, and they want to know everything that you're doing. And it's like, don't you have something better to be doing? Like, I don't know, just being decent people. I live in South Florida. We have Nicaraguans, we have Haitians, Cubans, Venezuelans. It is a state of abject fear down here.
Yeah.
And these are friends and family and colleagues and people, and it's just a horrific way to live. It is exhausting to live this way, which is why when we can lift each other up and celebrate what are good things about who we are, that's what we should be doing.
I'm so glad that you even distinguish women, and then especially women of color, because you're 100% right that women of color in the American 100-yard dash, white men start at the 90-yard line, and then it goes down the line. Women of color start at the minus 10-yard line. And the women of color in my life have enhanced my life so much. And one story that I like to share is my son played basketball with this kid who's now in the NBA. He plays for Denver. He's a rookie. But so my kid went to high school with him, and this kid's black, my son white. And I love his mom so much. Her name's Monique. And the son called Monique one day, and she said, well, if you walk there, make sure you don't have a hoodie on. I'm just hearing her side of the conversation. And she's like, okay, I love you. Please text me. So they hang up, and I go, why can't Trey have his hoodie on? It's so cold outside. And she said, black kid can't walk down the street with a hoodie on, Jennifer. Like, that's just not an option. And I'm just like, I've never had to have that conversation. I have two sons. I've never had to have such a conversation with my son about their attire being somehow provocative when they're walking down the street minding their own business. I've never had to have a conversation with my sons about the rules and procedures and how to behave if they're pulled over. My husband is a criminal defense attorney, and the only thing he's ever told them is, don't say shit, don't ever blow, don't say anything, don't say one word to the cops. That's it. We've never had to say anything beyond that. And so I'm grateful that you brought that up, because it's something that we want to help other white women expand their empathy for women in general, but also encompass that to women of color and understand that it has even been a more difficult journey for you all to find your footing in America. And I just have one more thing I want to say about one lie that I think Donald Trump has perpetrated.
Yes.
One that's right up there with the one that you said. I think one of the biggest lies he's perpetrated is that he is a patriot.
Agree.
Oh. I think that is such bullshit.
Didn't give a
Nobody
fuck.
trash talks the United States of America more than Donald
than
Trump. He shit talks the United States, and he has for 10 years. And I hear Bill Maher say all the time, he says, oh, Americans, they trash talk their own country. And Bill Maher's kind of lost his way, but that's another podcast for another day. But he says, they're always trash talking America and they don't understand it. And I'm like, nobody shit talks the United States of America more than Donald Trump. The fact that everybody thinks he's so patriotic is such bullshit. And obviously we'll have you back on to dissect that at a future date.
It's not long enough, Katie. We need more.
Sorry.
Katie Phang, you're so cool. You're so awesome. I'm so glad that you're independent and you can drop F-bombs.
I know. I love it. I'm like, Katie
glasses.
Phang cusses. It makes me so happy. Whenever we go to like shows, like mainstream shows on like NBC, CBS, whatever, the hosts always cuss in the background and we're immediately feel comfortable. We're like, oh my gosh, now we feel good. Like they're not perfect. They're not trying to be perfect. They're like, what the fuck is all this going on? And it's so great because it puts you immediately at ease. So I love that you threw out an F-bomb immediately.
I'm going to tell people, please don't judge me because I'm cursing. But that's just who I am. I mean, I've always been very proud of being authentically me. Everything you saw on MSNBC when I was on mainstream, that was me. Everything you read that I write, that's me. But being an independent media, I can just let it all hang out. It's Katie Phang Unleashed is what I like to say.
I love it.
And I like to say that I'm meeting the urgency of the moment with the urgency of my message. And sometimes the niceties just don't suffice. And sometimes people need to hear it emphasized. And sometimes that F-bomb delivers.
Yeah, it is. We'll have people in our comment section saying, I wish that you ladies wouldn't cuss. And I'm like, Donald Trump's the president. Fuck off.
Right.
He's a disgusting asshole, right?
Right.
And it's like, but the thing is, and again, I can come back, we talk about it. Why does that make me less of a lady?
Yeah, it's just the patriarchal
view
bullshit
of how you're supposed to act.
Because Joe Rogan or Bill Maher or Jon Stewart, nobody would ever get called out for using the F-bomb. But it's a completely different set of rules that are applied to women that drop the F-bomb. It's bullshit. Fuck that.
I have one response. Fuck them.
Katie, we love you. We want to have you back on. We need to have you on frequently. We're
Yes.
big. We need to all keep collabing and keep building our own ecosystem of truth and facts and F-bombs together.
Love it.
Okay.
Love you guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Katie.
Thanks for having me.
Bye. She's so fun.
Okay, I'm just going to say it. Over-deliverer. And I watched her show. I liked her. And she was very straightforward.
Yeah.
But exceeded expectations by a million.
Yeah, she's got a fun personality.
So fun.
Feisty, smart.
Really
great
smart.
communicator. Has all of the stuff.
She's all the things.
All right, listener, listen up. Please, please buy our book. Go to our link in bio. Life is a Lazy Susan of shit sandwiches. It is a manifesto that I wanted y'all to get a close-up view of. Look how cute it is. And then on the back, there's the young one. It's hard to do.
Yeah,
this.
you just put it on me. That's right. Okay, cut. She put it on me.
And
The
then
young.
the old one. All right. So listen, make sure you buy our book. It's a pretty easy read. Lots of juicy tidbits. And we'll see you all. Pumps tell 'em.
We will see you next Tuesday and Thursday.
I'll tell you what I've had it with. Let's hear it. I've had it with that. Listen up, patriots, gaytriots, and natriots. We have a new podcast that has dropped. It's called iHip News. It's Monday through Friday, every day, 15 to 20-minute hot takes on the political landscape of the United States of America, always served with a side of petty grievances.
We are on all the available platforms, Apple, Spotify, Google, whatever you get your podcasts, and YouTube.
Please go rate, subscribe, and review so that we will chart upwards with America's greatest legal mind. Pumps, what does an eagle say?
Caw-caw.
A little bit more enthusiasm.
Caw-caw.
That's it. That's
Caw-caw.
that's the patriotism that this country needs right there.
This summer, Pluto TV is exploding with thousands of free movies. Summer of Cinema is here. Feel the explosive action all summer long with movies like Gladiator, Mission Impossible, Beverly Hills Cop, Good Burger, and Transformers: Dark of the Moon. Bring the action with you and stream for free from all your favorite devices. Pluto TV. Stream now. Pay never.